This guy came from the Garden Gates down in Louisiana. Went to the local family leisure store in Lakeville and saw one on display. It's kind of funny, they had it on there. Said originally like $1,200 on sale for, I think it was $8.99, and their website said $7.99. So I wasn't a huge fan of using that store right off the bat. Got it from the Garden Gates in Louisiana. It was $7.99 with free shipping. Shipping was great. I think it got here I ordered it on, I think it was a Friday or Saturday I think, and it got here today, which is Thursday. So that's some great free shipping, especially for a 235-pound grill. First you take the front and the back pieces like so, flip them upside down so the caster sides are up. I'm going to stick these guys in each one of these right here and bolt them in, and then they'll all push together. You get the nut, lock nut, and washer, and stick them in like so. Once you get all four put on the door side, then you just simply slide it together, and then you'll put the bolts on the inside. After you've lined it all up and stuck them in, the easiest way to do that is to stick a screwdriver and pull the holes over, because they don't line up the easiest. But only after you've got all 8 bolts in, start tightening it up. After that, you open up the doors, slide in the propane shelf upside down, and it lips around here, and then you've got a hole there, there, and there put in, and then tighten them up. After that, you lock the wheels in the lock position like so, and then you just screw them into each of the 4 holes and flip it over. And get the wheels on. Now, it doesn't mention this in the manual, but I would recommend getting underneath here with a 7/16 wrench and just tightening on these bolts a bit instead of trying to spin the wheels around. The wheels are really good, and it's nice that they're all 4 locking and not just having 2 locking wheels. And you can tell they're nice ball bearing greased up in there as well. And then we screw in the shelf on the inside. That goes in really easy. And then we screw on the handles. It just takes 4 screws. Real simple. Alright, to get the grill box on, you lift it on and those little feet stick in, and we put 4 screws, 1 in each one with a lock nut and a washer. I ended up taking off the lid because it's just me working on it and my boy. And the pin that kept the lid on actually was almost coming undone, which is not a big deal, except if I didn't notice it. The way the instructions want you to put it on is to lift up the lid, and if that hinge was loose, then that would have been a big problem. Alright, it's coming along quite nice. Got the top on, put the lid back on, took off all the coverings on the grates. Just got to get the shelves on. I was getting the wires ready for the electric ignition. What you got to do is take out the drip tray that's in here, and then the wires are tucked in underneath here, and just pull them down and pull them out there before we get the ignition thing set up. One thing just for personal preference, I'm swapping out the battery that comes with it with an Energizer lithium. I had one in my old grill and never had any issues with it for about at least 4 years, and this is Minnesota, so the temperature does vary. And that's how it looks connected up to the back, and you just slide it through the back of that right there, and then you put the battery and the cap back on. Alright, note to self, when you're putting those things in, there's a long wire and a short wire, and it doesn't really matter, but I thought I'd switch the long and the short just when I was swapping it around to get it in here. And as I was pulling one of the wires out, it pulled a connection right out of the box. Luckily I was able to get it back in and it's working just fine, but Once you get the wires in, don't pull them out. The shelves go on really easily. Just 4 bolts there and there. Put in the top 2, hang them down, and then put in the bottom 2 and secure them all up. Here are the leftover parts. I was missing one lock washer that I got from my own supply. Other than that, everything was here. And here it is, all set up. Nice heavy lid. Great stainless steel on the inside. Now this is all 304 apparently, so we'll test it with a little magnet. And it should not stick. This is just cast aluminum, I think, so it will stick, and it does. And these are perfect. Nothing there, nothing there, and there. Nope. Yep. Kind of curious about these guys. It just looks like they're chrome. Doesn't stick to that. Sticks to that. And the handle as well. It's all good. So here's the overall review, just from the unboxing and setup process. As you can tell, it was very well packaged in there. Lots. Very nicely done. It probably have fallen from the moon and has been alright. That said, there were two little issues. The one hinge on the side here was loose, and I had to screw that back in before trying to lift it. I ended up taking them both off to put it on myself because I wanted to get it done and not have to wait for anybody to help me out. But if I was to pick that up and that hinge fell out, that would have been a big issue, because they recommend picking it up by this part and the back of the lid right here. And if the hinge pops off, it's a big mess. So just make sure those are tight. Overall, the design of it looks really good. It's a really heavy lid. I showed you the 304 stainless all over. The only couple issues were some very faint scratching right there that you can see. Nothing that does anything to the paint. Really all together, there weren't any chips at all. The little rubber grommet here did come off. There's 2 of them, so just make sure you keep an eye on those. Maybe it was due to me taking the lid off, but I was really careful with it because I did not want to have anything scratched. Knobs all work very nicely. Electric, beautiful. Nice strong magnets to hold the door shut. I'm not worried about those things coming off at all. On the inside, you got a little useless shelf right there. And there's where your battery goes. The grill grate cleaner, and an open spot for the propane tank. Open this guy up in here for the drip tray. I'm a little bit curious to see how that's going to work. How much grease we'll actually get. The inside of the burner boxes are all really good. There's really no complaints at all, aside from a couple of small little minor things. A little grommet falling off, tiny scratches. A couple of bolts didn't go in as easily as they should have. I had to put a screwdriver in and make a little bit more room to get 1 or 2 in. But really nothing that took too long. Really good hinges, great wheels. I am curious just how it's going to hold up with the weather. Like I said, I am in Minnesota. I keep it outside in the backyard. I keep it covered up all the time. My old grill, although it was a piece of crap from Menards, it did last for 5 years, and I may have been able to squeeze out another year from it, but it basically rusted out from the inside out. So I am a little bit curious to see how this one's going to perform. It is from a spin-off company from Charbroil, which makes me a little bit concerned because they don't have the best reputation. What sort of tipped it off were the grates here, although they're a lot better construction than the actual Lowe's or Home Depot or Walmart Charbroil grills that you see. solid stainless, they are great, but it looks like it's the exact same type of design as the infrared on one of the charbroils I saw. I think it was at Lowe's. Had the same kind of a setup. Lowe's or Menards. Somewhere, you'll find it. So, a little bit curious about that. So I guess my next review on it will be the cooking. I should mention this rack right here is really good, very sturdy. It's not flimsy at all. It is double reinforced on the front. I don't really use those that much anyway, but it looks like it's a pretty good one. One other thing to speak to real quick, just the setup time and process. It doesn't really time myself all that much because I was videotaping bits and pieces. We stopped for lunch, had a beer. My son was helping put together, so we were kind of taking our time. It was really easy to put together. There really wasn't a whole lot to it. Putting the two bottom pieces together, doors are already attached. The whole unit itself is all one right here, and then you're just putting on the shelves on the end. So I mean, you should easily be able to get it done under an hour, I would think, if you're just going and putting it all together in one shot.